Hey guys, Erica Rayborn with Caldwell Banker Sunstar Realty here in Port Charlotte, Florida. One of the things that we get asked by a lot of the new people that are moving down here is how they can prepare for hurricane season. So I figured I would just kind of take a minute and we can chat about hurricane preparedness. When Hurricane Ian came through, we were just over 2 weeks with no power and almost 1 month without internet. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through and kind of chat about some of this. Is just, what you would do if you were in that situation. It's kind of like camping, I guess. So just keep that in mind. But just so you know, I will post the websites in the description below, at least for Charlotte County. So we have 5 evacuation zones here. They range from A to E. You're going to want to know your evacuation zone ahead of time so that if the county calls your zone, you're already going to have your plan in place. You can go to charlottecountyfl.gov/knowyourzone, type in your address, and it'll tell you exactly what zone you're in. Just have an idea of where you're going to go. If you're going to go and stay with family, maybe you're not in an evacuation zone, but family is, so they're going to come and stay with you. Some people just go a little bit inland. It looks a little bit different for everybody. Just know that if you are planning on evacuating, you're going to want to do so early, or you are going to be stuck in traffic. You can sign up for Alert Charlotte, and you can download the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office and FEMA apps so that you can stay up to date with all of their emergency notifications. Charlotte County also uses wireless emergency alerts. It's kind of like an Amber Alert. It's just an automatic push to your phone so that you are notified of all weather emergencies. And then you can follow Charlotte County Emergency Management and local weather stations on social media, and they will keep you up to date as well. As far as preparation goes, once a storm is named, it gets a little crazy. So you're gonna wanna try to stock up early if you can. You're gonna wanna have a little bit of cash on hand, because if there's no power or no internet, then the stores aren't able to run your debit or credit card. You're going to have to pay for some items in cash. Water is another big thing. You're gonna want at least 1 gallon per person per day. So don't forget, if you go under a boil order or if there's no running water, you're gonna have to have water for cooking, for washing, for flushing toilets. All of those things are gonna come into play. Some people will fill up their bathtubs ahead of time so that they have a water supply there. Other people will get containers, and you can just fill it with drinking water so that if you do go under a boil order, at least you have some fresh water that you're able to drink as well. Non-perishable food is going to be another big item. A lot of people will do like dry goods or canned goods. Just make sure that you have a manual can opener so that you are able to access those canned foods. And then paper plates and plastic utensils. The last thing you're going to want to do if there's no running water or if you're under a boil order is dishes. Trust me, that'll come in handy. Flashlights, batteries, and then also a weather radio. If you have no power and you have no internet, you can still stay up to date, or at least kind of keep an eye on things with that weather radio. We keep a first aid kit here on hand also. Once the weather conditions become unsafe, emergency services are suspended. So you can still call 911. They just kind of triage the calls, but fire and EMS services do not resume until it is safe for them to do so. So keep that in mind. Medications, you're going to want to have 2 weeks worth of medications on hand. If you have prescription medications, once you go under a state of emergency, the pharmacies are able to refill some prescription medications early. So call your pharmacy, find out what that looks like. And then medical supplies, if you're a diabetic, you're gonna need, maybe Lancets, maybe some extra strips. Just keep a few extra things on hand. And then if you have kiddos, you want something to entertain them. During Ian, we read lots of books, we painted fingernails, we did games. Thankfully, we have a DVD player also, because once we lost internet, we lost our TV. So we were at least able to entertain her with different DVDs. And then if you have infants or if you have pets, you're gonna wanna think about those extra items for them as well. And then ahead of time, what you want to do If you have a generator, you're going to want to start the generator and let it run for 10 to 15 minutes every couple of months. Last thing you want to do is be without power and then go out and realize that your generator won't start. If you do have a generator and something for cooking, you are going to want to make sure that you have fuel for that, whatever that looks like, gasoline, propane, charcoal, whatever the case may be. You're going to want to make sure that you have some extra fuel on hand. Also, take a few minutes. Make sure that you have either enough shutters or enough plywood to cover all of your windows, and make sure you have the hardware that goes along with them. You're going to want to bring in patio furniture, trash cans, planters, anything that will fly if and when it does come to that. Also, another tip is that if you can, photograph or video your home and all of your belongings ahead of time. Chris goes out, he does drone photos so that if there is damage sustained, you actually have before and after photos when it comes to dealing with your insurance company. Sometimes that can actually make a little bit of a difference. You're also going to want to review your insurance coverage ahead of time. Once there's a storm in the Gulf, they won't write any new policies. Some insurances you can tweak in the middle, some you cannot. So get a hold of your insurance agent, find out what your coverages are, and then if you do want to change your level of coverage, find out when you are able to do that. I am curious though, do you guys have any tips, any tricks? Anybody that's been through a hurricane before, what are your guys' must-haves, or what have you learned over the years? I have heard of some people that use their washing machine as a giant cooler. They fill it full of ice. I've heard of some people using their dishwasher as a storage-proof container. Other people say that that's not a good idea to do. I don't know. So I'm just curious as to what you guys have come up with over the years. And then, like I said, I'll put the links in the description for more information. I'll post the Charlotte County Disaster Guide. I'll put their evacuation maps, how to sign up for Alert Charlotte, and then a link to all the shelters as well. So I guess the biggest takeaway is just don't wait until the storm has a name. Start preparing today if you can. Stay safe out there, guys.